Highlighting the best of Cyprus and the inspiring commitment to arts and culture, Culturescope shines a spotlight on the natural beauty and sheer diversity of the island, its previously hidden gems, and the people who continue to make a positive contribution to Cyprus, both locally and abroad. Hello, I'm Paul Lambis and welcome to the 6th episode of Season 2 of Culturescope, featured on Cyprus Mail's interactive web portal Good Living. Wandering through the historical city centres of Limassol and Pafos, one will uncover an explosion of colour that greets visitors at every turn. Along with the historical monuments and ever-popular squares, Limassol and Pafos' streets are a living canvas of art, with graffiti artists painting their unique and dazzling designs on the walls of buildings and abandoned houses. Expressing their creativity via their colourful, impressive designs, artists are transforming these old towns into free and open-air museums. A relatively new movement, street art is becoming more prolific in the art world, sending strong social and political messages, at the same time reflecting the island's unique culture. Located in the heart of the buffer zone in Nicosia, the Home for Cooperation is a unique community centre focusing on intercommunal cooperation, contributing to the collective efforts of civil society in their engagement with peace building and intercultural dialogue. Using its sources, it encourages people to cooperate with each other beyond constraints and dividing lines. Hadeli, the Home for Cooperation essentially aims to act as a bridge builder between separated communities, memories and visions. Take us back to the beginning. How did this exciting initiative start?
Home for Cooperation started as a project of the Association for Historical Dialogue and Research. It was founded in 2011, but the idea of the Home for Cooperation came up in 2003, which coincides with the establishment of the Association for Historical Dialogue and Research and the opening of the crossing points in Cyprus. So the Home for Cooperation project was initiated as a research and educational center, mainly for academics, educators and activists to have a neutral place so that they can work on issues related to history teaching and history education in Cyprus. And of course, with the opening of the crossing points, this idea was more developed, let's say, or materialized, because after so many years, almost 40 years, it was the first time that people from across the divide could actually meet.
Today, the Home for Cooperation has become a landmark building within the Lidra Palace crossing. How does the home foster creativity and intercultural trust in Cyprus and internationally?
When you usually hear about the buffer zone in anywhere in the world, you think that it's a place that is defined by antagonism, by military, by violence. And in Cyprus, and especially when we come here also, around here, you feel that these are the people who doesn't want actually to have such a buffer zone in between. Through the years since 2011, by the contribution of the civil society and the people themselves, actually turned into a community center. It was not just the people working here or the ones that actually developed the idea that managed to bring it to a community center, but it's more the work of the whole society, I would say, different segments of society. We have people coming here just to meet with someone from the other community. community, or they're looking for their counterparts to work with. Our team is multi-communal. We have people Turkish-speaking, Greek-speaking, we have internationals working with us. We have the home cafe team as well. At the end of the day, we are working together and taking the decisions together, implementing them together with our partners from the communities. Home for Cooperation doesn't receive any public funding. We are mainly funded by the EEA and Norway grants and the Active Citizens Fund. And of course, project-based fundings. So it can be through the embassies, it can be EU projects and fundings. So this is how we are implementing our activities. The idea and the message that the Home for Cooperation gives just by being here is the fact that you can actually transform this feeling and this physical space from an area of antagonism to an area of cooperation. So this is kind of the whole point of being here. It's not only about having a building itself, but it's just by its existence, it actually gives out this message.
Tell us about the peace-building programs and events offered at the centre.
We have core peace-building programs and then projects and activities. So the core programs are the language classes. We are offering Turkish and Greek language classes. We have United by Sound, which is a music program. We are working with musicians, we have a project coordinator, and we are bringing musicians from across the divide to perform in front of a multi-communal audience. It's one of the most successful programs of the home. And last year, during the lockdown, we also managed to produce a song, a trilingual song. It's called The Time Is Ripe. And there is now a collective of musicians called the Island Seeds that they're willing to work together further and produce another song, and maybe this will lead to an album. Our biggest program is the Buffer Fringe Performing Arts Festival. It's an international festival which started in 2014 as a local festival actually. Through the years it managed to become an internationally recognized festival with the remarkable festival label from the European Festivals Association. And now we have thousands of people coming to watch the performances. And it's a program that supports both the artistic creation in Cyprus and abroad. And it's a festival that deals with controversial issues. So it's a fringe festival. It promotes art forms that are outside of mainstream art practices. And the topics are also challenging. There are more communities in Cyprus that we usually tend to forget when we talk about the Cyprus issue. If we can leave that behind and we can focus on the human level, we can actually realize that the pain that people of this island have gone through is shared. The future will be shared as well. So what we do today affects our tomorrow. And personally, I wouldn't want my children to grow up having this conflict constantly reminded in their everyday lives. It's a huge burden that we are putting on the next generation. Our parents carried it, we are carrying it, and I really don't want to transfer this to my future as well. So I think that's what we need to realize.
Paola Hadjilambri's fiery performance on Broadway as Melina Mercouri earned Cyprus first place among 130 countries at the world's largest solo theatre festival in New York. But behind the facade of an outstanding actress and corporate professional is that of an Olympic priestess. Paola, you're an ambassador for your birth country, having represented Cyprus abroad on many occasions. At the turn of the century, you were one of the 23 priestesses and the only Cypriot woman selected to ignite the Olympic flame. Do you consider that critical moment as one of the most defining in your life?
Going back to 2000-2001 was the year when I graduated from the drama school of the National Theatre of Greece. My dance teacher and choreographer of the ritual of the Olympics, Mrs. Maria Horse, she's no longer with us, God bless her. She came up to me and she said, I think now it's the time for you to become one of the priestesses. So we did ignite the flame at the sacred hill of Pnika, which is opposite Acropolis. So that was my first experience, rehearsing under the sun, 40 degrees, with a big smile, of course, and never moaning. But that's when I met all the girls and the team, and I felt so grateful. And it did not really hit me until 2004 that I was representing Cyprus. Because after that, we did the Winter Olympics for Salt Lake. So we went to ancient Olympia, to the monument of Pierre de Coubertin, where that is where the winter flame is ignited. The rehearsals, they start months ahead. For the Olympics of 2004, we started 6 months before. Mrs. Horst was always gathering us in a big circle, and she would talk to us, to calm us down, to tell us that everything will be okay, that you've made it, or you know, the rehearsals, they've gone great, and this is your moment, and you're representing Greece. But in 2004, she said something that it still brings tears to my eyes up to this day. She told us, «Γέριες, ετοιμαστείτε να σηκώσετε την Ελλάδα στους ώμους σας». This time, priestesses, get ready to lift Greece on your shoulders. The actual ritual of getting the light from the sun and igniting the Olympic torch is only seen live only by the heads of states. And it's around 100-150 people with their guards. And that was a very significant day for Cyprus as well, because when they said Hadjilambri Paola from Cyprus, immediately the journalists in Cyprus, they arrived at my parents' house knocking on the door to see who this girl was and what was she doing there. And by the time the whole ritual finished, our phones were ringing, people wanted to interview me, people were asking me about the ritual and how I got there, and it's a great honor. And that's when they named me the daughter of Cyprus.
In 2018, you stunned audiences with your portrayal as Melina Mercouri in the theatrical production Melina, the Last Greek Goddess. A New York reporter commented that your performance was intense and powerful, and you embodied what it meant to be a defiant, strong woman. What was it like stepping into Melina Mercouri's shoes for the role?
If I have to number the 3 most important things that I've done in my life, first would be giving birth to my son, Costantino, and then the Olympics, the flame, and then Melina, in this order. And what everything has in common is my love for Greece. And not just Greece, but my love for what we call Hellas, which Hellenism has a larger, bigger meaning worldwide. For me, Melina represents everything that I stand for. And through Melina, I even found pieces of myself that I never believed I had. It was a great challenge to step into her shoes, because she was not only a successful actress, but she was also the first Minister of Culture of Greece. She fought the dictatorship. She was a persona that the New York Times mentioned more times than Elizabeth Taylor. And her big win was that she was walking in New York and they were calling her by her name, not with a name and a surname, but she was Melina for everybody. And the best part was that although she had offers to go to Hollywood and make Hollywood movies, she refused. And she said, no, I'm not gonna let you to vanish me, who I represent Greece, in your little Hollywood world. She knew exactly what she was doing. And she has my full respect. I felt so proud that I was sharing with the world who this woman was and what she did for Greece and for Cyprus as well, because in 1974, Melina was here supporting the women. I will never forget the moment that I had the flag of Cyprus hidden under my chair. I'm gonna pull the flag out. I need to do it. I need to show them that Cyprus is here, that yeah, I'm doing Melina, but I need to show that Cyprus brought Melina here. So yes, that was one of the most empowering moments of my life, and we're here on Broadway and we brought Greece to you. I felt so proud that Cyprus was like on the first step of the podium. I mean, among 130 countries for the first time ever. And then reading the critics, what the critics wrote, a lady that she was writing on behalf of a British media. She did not mention the marbles of the Parthenon. She mentioned the whole play, but she did not mention the last bit of Melina, where she is asking for the Parthenon marbles to be returned back to Greece. Whereas another gentleman that he was writing on behalf of an American newspaper, he spoke in detail about everything. All the chapters of Melina. Melina when she was young, Melina when she was doing her career, when she met Gilles de Seine, because the play covers 7 chapters of Melina's life. The minute she became a minister of culture, when she was fighting the dictatorship, when she was fighting for the marbles. So, I mean, it's quite fascinating to wake up and say, right, for 2 years we were working on this project. People at our home in Cyprus, they watched it. People in Greece watched it, among them the brother of Melina Mercouri, who is no longer with us. And I had the honor to meet Spiro Mercouri. I had the honor to go to Melina's house, to sit on her chair, to open her files, to see her personal handwritings and hear stories from Spiro. And he shared with me and said, Paola, when we were younger and she was going to audition for the drama school and our parents wouldn't allow her, we would go upstairs in the attic and I would keep, track of the lines, and I would, help her to learn her lines so she could go and audition, because that was Melina. And, what Melina wanted, Melina got. You couldn't stop her. So it was amazing, and it was a great honor for me that Spiro Mercouri came to watch the show. And it was such a relief when he stood up in the theater and he said that, she's not only, performing as Melina, she is Melina. And he told me that you don't just look like her, but you also sound like her.
Your latest production, Tears of Silence, based on the novel by Arian Socrates, is a challenging role that will see you playing 3 female characters who are victims of human trafficking and abuse. Tell us about that.
I like picking up characters that they're interesting, that they have something to say and share with the world, and especially when it's something that the world hasn't heard before. There were people that they had a different mindset in regards to what Melina represented, and then when they watched the show, they changed what they were thinking. For Callas, after I made a lot of research, I found a lot of interesting information. I thought, she's not that person that everybody thinks she is. There's more to that. I found the story that I wanted to reveal to the world from her side. Tears of Silence is based on the novel written by Arian Socrates, another talented Cypriot lady, very good friend of mine who lives in Florida. Arian said that I have this book, it's called Tears of Silence. It's the stories of all these women that either they were trafficked or being abused. And how about doing a monologue and you performing these 3 women, that they're connected in a way which the audience will find in the end.
How does Paola Hadjilambri balance 3 aspects of her life? Award-winning actor, director of business development at a prestigious law firm, and more importantly, a mother.
Being a mother is the greatest challenge, full-time challenge, especially when you have a son who's 10 years old, God bless him, Konstantinos, and he's always on the run. So he's a very happy boy, and my target was always to teach him that mommy is here, but mommy works, and mommy does a lot of things, but if mommy's away and you cannot travel with mommy, you still have your granddad, your grandma, your godfather, who's my brother, and I have a whole support system around him. Besides the support system that I have coming from my family, I have a great support system from the law firm that I work. Because when Savas Savidis made the proposal to work for them, for the company as Director of Business Development, my first question was, because you're a prestigious law firm, will I be allowed to perform? Because maybe, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't like that, you know. And he said, not only we wouldn't like that, but we would like to support it because you go and you represent our country abroad. So it's a great honor for us. Putting down all my knowledge, coming from acting and theater and from TV and media, I put together this little book that gives step by step, let's say, some guidance, advice to all these people that they need to sit in front of the camera and sell their product, or they need to do a presentation with like very clear steps. What helps me in every decision, in every step I take, is that I always tell myself, remember who you are, where you started from, and who your parents are. Because that keeps my feet stuck on the ground and I see things clearly, and I'm a simple human being that I love life, I love what I do, I'm passionate about anything that comes along on my way and I have the opportunity to create or to help other people, and I'm just going to do it.
Within a short time, international franchise Jimmy's Killer Prawns has become the talk of the town in both Limassol and Pafos, as diners flock to their restaurants to celebrate and experience the insanely delicious prawn. Pafos, while the star of the show is your world-famous killer prawn, you also offer an extensive selection of fish and meat grills. How did the concept originate, and what led you to expanding Jimmy's prawn offering to Cyprus?
Jimmy Killer Prawns first originated by Jimmy Christalis, in 1991. And he started, in actual fact, from a man house. That's how it originated in South Africa. And then slowly started expanding. And he decided not only about prawns, he started putting some other things together as well. And that's where we started putting a little bit of meat in, a little bit of poultry in, a little bit of pasta in. He first expanded it to Abu Dhabi in the UAE, and then from there he brought it into Cyprus. It's the way you cook it. It's actually very simple. We got one style and it's called Jimmy's Way. That's our prawns with our unique spice. And there's a lot of places that have got prawns. We're very selective. Our most popular dish in actual fact here is the Jimmy's Sizzler, which consists of your actual prawns. You've got a choice of rice or chips on it and 200 gram sirloin. Coming from the meat industry and everything myself, we age our beef. Our ribs fall off the bone, and our unique basting that we actually do. And it's the way we prepare it, which is our secret. Our prices might be a little bit higher, but our quality is actually good.
How have the locals and tourists embraced the Jimmy's Killer Prawns idea?
Word of mouth is very important. And it's amazing how many different nationalities we have got that come over here. We have a lot of locals that come over here on the weekends and that. And the questions to us is, when are you opening in our town, Nicosia or Larnaca? They always ask us that question. But I believe is let it settle down, let the COVID settle down a little bit, and when things are right, we'll open for sure. We've had a few people that have actually asked us, for our spice. So I think that's the next step, to speak to Jimmy and maybe start selling the spices as well. So the most important thing is we stay by our motto, the addictive taste. Simple.
Arian Adeli describes himself as a passionate serial entrepreneur who started his first few projects when he was only 13. 3 years later, Arian founded his first business and even wrote a book about the fundamentals of modern finance. Arian, you're a trader and an investor, programmer and automation expert, best-selling author, a 17-year-old who has already accomplished so much in a short time span. What most of us want to know is how. How did you do it?
I'd say there are two main things. Firstly, I truly am passionate about problem solving. You know, it's really interesting to me to identify a problem that needs to be solved and just trying to find a way to solve it. And that's really what I hope to do in the future as well, because you know, I don't feel like I'm working. I feel like I'm contributing to something greater than myself, let's say, right? The main advantage that I've got in a way, you know, I'm not like the son of a billionaire. I don't have $1 million in my account. I don't have a million connections, and I don't have any major advantages that are gonna give me a head start compared to everyone else, right? So I figured I needed to create an advantage, right? Because it's the only way I'm gonna be able to set myself apart from the average Joe. And I figured that the perfect advantage would be time, starting early. Because I get to make mistakes now. I've made hundreds of mistakes that I wish I didn't make. but that's the whole purpose of what I'm doing now, to just learn from it. And I make these mistakes, and then when everyone else is going to be making mistakes in the future, I would already figured it out. So this is sort of my strategy for, let's say, setting myself apart. We participated in this national competition in Iran where we were tasked with developing a self-driving car. Virtual, of course, not a real one, but it had to go through, like, it had to overcome certain obstacles put in front of it or complete certain tasks. Let's say collect little blocks that were a specific color, right? Simple task, but it was a very advanced program that we had to write, and we wrote that in the course of a year, I think. So we participated there, and that's when I really, let's say, fell in love with this line of work. Every time we added a little feature, solved a problem, or did something new with our project, it's as if it was our own creation, right? So we experienced, let's say, this sudden rush of excitement and pride, really, which is why I've continued my work even after I left the team and came to Cyprus. I wanted to branch out in a way, and it's always been my thing to jump from one branch to another. I can't make up my mind. I thought it would be a good idea if I mixed the technology, let's say, aspect of it with another field. So I decided to learn the basics and, let's say, fundamentals of trading and investment. I started learning. I didn't really take any courses. My dad had a bit of knowledge. I collaborated with him. He taught me the ways, and I researched on the internet and I practiced, really. I mean, that was my #1 key to, let's say, learning it in such little time, just practicing. And it took me around 2 years to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. I mean, I was 16, I think, when I developed my first AI system that was, functional and capable of analyzing different financial markets automatically without you having to do anything, and it would make decisions for you, would trade for you, and hopefully it would be profitable. That's because I taught it, certain strategies that I learned along the way, and it used to take a lot of data in and analyze the data and try to make a decision based on it. So I developed that, and it was intended for personal use in the beginning. After it was completed, I was like, I want to share this with others. I'm gonna make something good out of it.
You've been involved in many projects as part of the tech teams. How has Cyprus provided the perfect platform for online projects?
Cyprus has been a great platform for my work, especially because it's online. It's the target audience isn't as large as some other countries, and you can't reach as many people. But that's fine for an online business, because if you really want to expand overseas and you want to serve, a lot of customers, you can. You can base your operations in Cyprus, and you can market your service or product globally. And that's really thanks to the internet. You can put ads anywhere in the world. You can target them specifically to another country, to people with specific interests. So if you want to build an online business on a large scale, it doesn't really matter how big the country is. It's just about how easy it is for you to work in it. And for me, it's been perfect because it's a small but certainly powerful community in Cyprus, and it's much easier to get to know people. And and online businesses sort of lack the social aspect of work. So Cyprus sort of complements that.
You're expanding your work in the culinary industry. How do you plan to revolutionize this sector?
I'm working with restaurants to provide digital menus, and quickmeals.com is a recipe website that will hopefully expand, overseas as well. We already have users from every continent, actually. It's happened to everyone, I'm sure. You open the door to the fridge and it's full, but you still don't know what to make with it, or you don't know what to eat. And we really realized that that's a problem that even we're experiencing. So if you could somehow solve that, make a platform where you can go on there and say that I've got these ingredients, I've got chicken and rice, so what can I make with it? And we would give you the perfect recipe. We thought it'd be a good idea, and that's why we started Quick Meals. And it grew over time. So now it's not just with ingredients. We don't just filter it with ingredients. You can filter it based on calories, a specific diet that you have, the time it takes to make it. Anyone can use our services. I mean, as long as you have a mobile phone or a laptop or any sort of technology in your house, you can use our services. Right now, we're working on developing a new platform for the first project, Rivo Trading, the fintech one. And with this platform, we try to make analyzing different markets as effortless as possible. You know, in the future, if you can't look back on the journey that you've had and really be proud of it, then, you know, what's the point? And I've said this multiple times. I mean, it's one thing that I say, and people usually, you know, they get confused when I say it. But in 40 years, let's say, I'm gonna have grandchildren. I'm gonna want to have some stories to tell them, right? So that's sort of what keeps me going, living a unique life that's never been lived before. But I have to say that I don't think that you should go down an entrepreneurial or a business path to live a remarkable life. I mean, that couldn't be further from the truth. It's just a personal preference for me, something that works for me. And frankly, I find making money and working quite boring and exhausting, really. It's the element of problem solving that motivates me to do it. So that's why I like it. But, you know, I don't think you should go down an entrepreneurial path to have a good life or have a life you're proud of. It's just doing something you're passionate about, something you really like doing. That's what matters the most, in my opinion.
Starring in her debut acting role at the tender age of 9, Stephanie Leonidas is taking the world of film and television by storm. With a filmography that includes a diverse range of acting roles, gaining her unprecedented recognition in the US, Stephanie's approach to fame is refreshingly down-to-earth and inspiring. Stephanie, since your first acting role in UK television back in 1997, your career has been a whirlwind of success. Let us talk about the vast range of different characters that you have portrayed, including the fantastical side of Stephanie Leonidas.
I guess I've just been really lucky with everything with the characters that I've played, because they've all been really different. It's every actor's dream, really, to constantly be taking on a role that's so different from the last one. And so from the sci-fi shows that I've done, like Defiance, where I played Arissa and she was, you know, an alien, it was a complete transformation for me because I had a prosthetic and I was spray painted every day and a big like ginger wig and completely like transformed in front of a mirror every morning before I'd even got on set, to, you know, the more gritty stuff that I've loved and has always been a big passion of mine. And I couldn't pick out of any of them that I love the most. I love just, yeah, seeing what happens next.
Let us talk about your family life and your connection with Cyprus. What was it like growing up in a culturally diverse environment?
We were very much brought up in a Greek kind of community. My best friends are Greek. I went to Greek school on a Saturday. You wouldn't think it with the little that I can speak, shamefully, but so yeah, there's a lot of Greek influences. Even my mum being English, you know, she'd cook Greek meals. I'd have souvlas all the time at my friends' houses. I mean, I'd spent a lot of time at my Greek friends' houses because of the food. So yeah, it's a huge influence in my life. The big weddings, the big fat Greek weddings, the christenings, the holidays to Cyprus. So yeah.
What has been the most defining moment in your career?
That's a tough one, really, because I feel like every job is such a defining moment. You really cherish every job when it comes along. They're all so different. They take you to a different part of the world. You're not often filming in London, so there's obviously often a big upheaval for months on end, and you live somewhere else. It's not just the actual filming, it's the kind of your whole life changes with each job. So everything holds a big part in my heart, really. Like every job I really hold dearly. But I suppose one of the jobs I did when I was 17 called Night and Day, which was a short series. I was 17, it brought me out of school. I learned a lot on the job, and that was when it sort of started, I guess, on a much more professional level for me. And then Defiant was obviously a big one because it was a 3-year show. And I was living in Toronto for that time. And Toronto has become quite a big part of my life, really, because I've gone out there for a couple of jobs since, and I've worked with the same crew again. And so I think Toronto really stands out for me as being one of the big defining moments of my life, just being out there with a few jobs. And I love it out there, and it's become a second home, and I keep like hoping that the next job will be back there.
Is there a particular role or genre of film that you would like to sink your teeth into?
Not many actors will even admit to it, but I love musical theatre. And so I would love to do a little bit of musical theatre at some point. It's something I started off in. So yeah, who knows? A long time ago, I was sat having a conversation with a producer, and she said to me, we were having quite a deep conversation, and she said the line a couple of times that this too shall pass. And I remember that really hitting home, and since then people have said it quite a lot. I've heard it, I feel like I hear it everywhere, and it's always sat with me that it's not only the bad times that will pass, but the good too. And it's so important to cherish and enjoy everything, but never take anything too seriously either, because neither the highs or the lows, to just literally know that everything passes and to just keep a level head with everything. And I think that is something I've tried to carry with me through my work, but also my life. And I try and remind myself of that phrase constantly, really. I think it's a good one, and it's a grounding one.
Comic books are not just about superheroes and villains. Spread across many different genres, including science fiction, fantasy, comedy and drama. Ant Comics, located in the buzzing heart of Nicosia, has been at the forefront for over 1 decade, living up to its reputation as your friendly neighborhood comic book shop.
We opened our doors in 2007, and I remember when I walked in as a customer, I found out that there's this entire world of comic books, the monthly issues that you go to a comic book shop and you pick it up. And it was amazing because you had the main superheroes and villains, and you had them on the shelves, and every month you get your monthly dose of comic books and manga. We also have some very specific merch like Sailor Moon stuff, for example, Dragon Ball, very specific stuff that you will only find in comic book stores, that are exclusive in comic book stores. We also have some role-playing games. We have dice for your tabletop RPGs. We have TCGs, trading card games, and all the little things that make a comic book shop special. We always aimed to create a healthy and safe community and embrace all kinds of geeks. We aim to have a variety of events. For example, we have the Free Comic Book Day event, which is worldwide. We have Batman Day, for example. We celebrate Batman. It's like an anniversary, it's a yearly thing. We do have our Halloween Comic Fest. The theme, obviously, it's Halloween, but we will be giving comic books horror or Halloween, or a bit more, oriented to that month. The same thing with Comic Book Day, is more generic throughout the year. We have our Christmas party sale that we just have Suvla and Zivania outside the shop, and people come and it's fine, and they can buy a comic book or two. Saturdays we have the TCG Saturday, which is Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, or any kind of other card game you might want to play. You just tell me in advance and we can hook you up with a partner and we can all play together. It's hectic, it's loud, and sometimes smelly because we also have to eat, but it's fine, it's cool, all is awesome. Digital is up and rising, but when it comes to comic books, that is the collectability. Like how many numbers are released and printed, who gets it, if they preserve it, the variants, the covers, the story, the writers, and you have a big buzzing community that you have people that are fans, you have people that invest, and you have people that do a bit of both. It was never part of our culture in Cyprus, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful because we have geeks, Turkish Cypriot geeks, we have Greek Cypriot geeks, we have everybody in between. I just love sitting in the shop when it's quiet, listen to music and read a comic book, or even just have the chat with different customers, and it ends up that my customers become my friends because it's been years that they've been coming, and it's important.
Stay connected and follow us on social media. If you want to be featured on Culturescope, contact our production team by visiting the website below. Until next time, stay safe, and let culture transform your life.